This is our moment.
I'm your host, Corey Phillips.
Time to be great than today.
Off Top Podcast.
It's a play. Bryant for the lead. Yes!
Time! What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Off Top Podcast. Episode, where we at? Episode 12?
Sounds about right.
Is it episode 12? Man, we losing track. We gotta get a hold of that. What's going on, people? This is Corey Phillips here for the Off Top Podcast. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. It is episode 12. It is Wednesday. Sorry, I got my days mixed up. It is Wednesday, December 1st, 2021, as we get into the last month of the year. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. We went on right before Thanksgiving, right? Yeah, last week. I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving. I know I did. Had some family in. Some of my family was out of town in Mexico, but even your boy Corey cooked. He got the turkey, had the mashed potatoes, had the stuffing, the cranberry sauce, the sweet potato pie, the pecan pie. Had some people over, had some friends over. Good time, watched some football. It was a weird Thanksgiving football games. One of the games I knew was going to be what it was. And we'll get into that here in a few minutes. But, there was a couple of games where I was like, okay, these two games are going to be good. This one is going to be trash. And the trash game actually flipped. And we'll talk about that. Also going to talk about House of Gucci. I saw House of Gucci Thanksgiving weekend. Great movie. I'll get into that. Spider-Man tickets on sale. We're going to talk about that too. Spider-Man tickets went on sale. There was a story that I saw online of a little fight that broke out when they were trying to get Spider-Man tickets on Monday. I don't know why people were out and about getting Spider-Man tickets when you just order it online, but we'll get into that. But got some breaking news stuff happening, baseball. In a couple hours here, if you're on the West Coast, it's a little after 8 right now. As of 11:59 Eastern Standard Time, the MLB collective bargaining agreement comes to an end. And we're going to get into that here in just a moment. But subscribe, share the page, tell your friends. We're on all platforms right now: Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Tune in, man. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everybody to tune in. Got a lot of juicy stuff to get into, some football stuff. But this MLB free agency stuff has been nuts. And that's what I want to get into right now. The hot stove of some notable MLB players on the free agent market. Teams are trying to get these deals done because they knew that there was a lockout pending because they hadn't come into agreement. So there was a lot of money being thrown around. A lot of notable free agents signing with teams. Even the Seattle Mariners picked up. Huge pickup for the Seattle Mariners. But it started off hot and fast first day. But Robbie Ray with the Mariners, he got a 5-year, $150 million contract. This is your Cy Young Award winner from last year. He's got to opt out after the third season if he wants to opt out. And hopefully, Robbie Ray, he had an amazing season last year. A fantastic season last year. Did he get a lot of wins? He was on a Toronto Blue Jays team they were right there with the Mariners as far as playoff seeding and stuff, but had a hell of a season, won a Cy Young Award. He was first in literally every single pitching category in the American League. So congrats to him. I'm always a fan of people getting their money. You know what I'm saying? But there was some other signings that I wanted to talk about. Corey Seager, his ridiculous contract. It's like the Texas Rangers didn't learn from the Alex Rodriguez contract. If you guys know or have tuned in or know if you pay attention to baseball, that Alex Rodriguez contract signing years ago, it was over a decade ago, was terrible. And the Rangers were paying for it for a long time. But Corey Seager, the Rangers thought he was worth all the money. 10 years, $325 million. That's pretty good. I mean, kudos to Corey Seager. I mean, he's a good ball player. He's young. He's talented. He can play multiple positions on the infield. He can play shortstop or he can play third base, just like his brother Kyle. But hey, like I said, I'm always a fan of people getting their payday. That's a good signing, but I don't like the length of it. 10 years is a long time. Period. I don't care what sport you're playing. And I don't care what type of money you're throwing you. 10 years is a long time. The Max Scherzer deal to the New York Mets, 3 years, $130 million. He's the oldest player to get a contract for over $100 million in MLB history. Max Scherzer is going on 38 years old. And he just got a 3-year, $30 million payday. That's pretty good. A little over $43 a season. That's blowing out Jamal Adams' numbers. We'll talk about that later. Oh my goodness. But the Rangers have made some moves. The Marcus Semien deal that they got, that was a big steal. I was hoping that the Mariners were going to pick him up because Marcus Semien, again, he's a middle infielder that can play short. He can play third. He can also play some second. And he's got power. 7 years, $175 million contract. My thing of it was, here's my thing. Because, I'm a big Mariners fan. I'm a Cardinals fan as well. And the Mariners are this close. Inches away. Literally a game away this past season from making the playoffs. So I need, and you heard Jerry DiPoto, if you follow the Mariners like I do, all you've heard from Jerry DiPoto, even before the season was over, yeah, we're going to be spending some money on the off season. Now, that's been thrown around a lot, especially if you follow the Mariners. That's been thrown around quite a bit. They did spend some money, but on some wrong players. And I'll go back to when they signed Robinson Cano, Gene Segura, Nelson Cruz. Those are some big-time players, and we had some opportunities to make the playoffs in those seasons. But I need them to make a splash. These last 5 or 6 years have not been great until the last season. And we were in a rebuilding process. I think the rebuilding process is done. We need to go out and get some big-time players, a la Robbie Ray. Now, there's rumors that the Mariners are close to a deal on getting Chris Bryant. Now, Chris Bryant can play both corners of the infield. He can play third base or he can play first. He can also play outfield on the corners. So, Chris Bryant would be a huge target for them. But some other big-name players that got signed, Corey Kluber, he's won the Cy Young twice. He signed a 1-year deal with $8 million with the Tampa Bay Rays. Like, they needed more pitching. They just buffered their starting pitching. Let's see. Sterling Marte got with the Mets. I knew that was coming. Brian Buxton, they signed him to a 7-year, $100 million contract. I think they're probably it's a sign and trade. They're probably going to move him by the All-Star break of next season, if we have a season. But who knows? We'll get into that as well. What was the other one I was looking at? Robbie Ray. Today, Marcus Stroman signed with the Cubs. It's like a 3-year deal, $71 million. He was also one of my players I was targeting. So, okay, the Mariners, you signed Robbie Ray, right? We need a third baseman. And these guys, Chris Bryant is probably going to be the main target. So we need him. We need him bad. The Dodgers re-signed Chris Taylor. Javi Baez signed with the Tigers. We already know about Syndergaard. He signed once free agency started. He signed with the Angels on a huge deal. James Paxton, whose contract was up with the Mariners, he spent most of the season last year on injury reserve. He signed with the Red Sox today for a 2-year. The team has an option for one. Yan Gomez and Clint Frazier go to the Cubs. So the Cubs are starting to rebuff for their lineup after those deals that they made at the trading deadline. So a bunch of stuff happening. I mean, all these deals happened. A lot of these deals happened in the last 48 hours. Because if you have heard the news, there's basically a pending lockout happening. Today, the owners and the players met. They were in the meeting room for literally 7.5 minutes. And then they walked out. That's not a good sign. You're in a meeting for 7 minutes. When there's money on the line and you guys can't come to an agreement, not looking well for anything. So during the lockout, players, free agents will not be allowed to sign with any teams. That's why there was such a scramble to sign with teams right now. And there will not be trades permitted of any kind. So what does it say when it comes to baseball? Baseball was starting to get back to getting up there. It's not on the level of the NFL or the NBA for that matter. But for some people, baseball is their main sport. Now, me personally, I mean, okay, come on. I grew up in St. Louis, so a Cardinals fan. St. Louis is a huge baseball town. Those are diehard fans right there. So I'm partial. I love the NFL. And my dad grew up as a Chicago Bulls fan, sorry. So he was all about basketball. So for me, I have a little mixture of everything. And then of course my Rams, you know. So it's a little bit difficult for me. I love baseball, but it's hard for me to put them up there when you have crap like this happening. I mean, you're going to risk games next season. Now, do I think they'll come to some sort of agreement? I don't know. It's up in the air right now. I'm like 50-50 on it. But this is not good for the look of Major League Baseball when you have a lockout like this. You had plenty of time to prepare, and this all stems from partially because of what happened last year because they couldn't get an agreement on how to handle COVID during the baseball season and how players were going to get paid. So stuff like this you need to iron out because you don't see stuff like this happening in the NFL. There's talks about it, and then they actually come to some sort of agreement before there's any threat of a lockout. Same thing with the NBA. We haven't talked about an NBA lockout in a long time. So that's the breaking news from from Major League Baseball. I'm going to continue with the story and follow it. Tune in to get some more updates on the NFL. Now, I wanted to get something off topic for sports, but it's kind of sports, but it isn't. And that's WWE. I will be going to WWE SmackDown in February. I'm going to be doing some live streams from inside the Climate Pledge Arena in February, so be tuned to that. But I want to get into some NFL stuff because today the Seahawks made a move, which a lot of people are like scratching their heads about, and that's the signing of Adrian Peterson to the practice squad today. And a lot of people are like, what? Like, do you realize that the Seahawks are hurting for running backs? Literally. Alex Collins is not 100%. I think DJ Dallas is our most healthiest running back right now. Chris Carson's already on the shelf for the season, so he's done. So, yeah, we need running backs. We actually need a whole offensive line and an offense on the Seahawks right now. But what I wanted to get into, some NFL stuff. Looks like Antonio Brown's going to be out for at least another 2 weeks. Taysom Hill is going to get the start tomorrow against the Cowboys. It's a huge game. For fantasy owners who need a quarterback, pick up Taysom Hill. He's going to get you some points, unless you have one of the top tier quarterbacks like, Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. If you don't have any one of those, Kyler Murray, if you don't have one of those top 5 quarterbacks, he's a number 2. He's a tier 2 in fantasy, but I would pick them up. But that's a big game tomorrow, Saints and Cowboys. Cowboys 3-game losing streak. Sorry, Carson. What can you say? I mean, Ezekiel Elliott. Boy, oh boy, Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, he looks like a shell of himself right now. Tony Pollard in my view, Tony Pollard should be getting more touches. I know you're gonna say let Zeke eat and all that stuff, and you feed Ezekiel Elliott, but no, he's not doing well. There's something wrong with him. He's off. He's injured. I think he's injured. I don't think he's 100%. Alvin Kamara is listed as questionable for tomorrow. But they will have Mark Ingram full tilt ready to go. So that's a huge game for the Cowboys and for the Saints, because the Saints are still in the mix for one of those wild card spots, one of those playoff spots, one of those last 6 or 7 seeds. The Cowboys are hanging on by a thin thread. I mean, they were lucky that the Eagles shit the bed last week. Because if the Eagles won, they would have been in 1 game, and there's still 4 to go. No, there's more than 4. There's 5 games left. So, I mean, there's plenty of time for the Eagles to make a run. Hey, Washington's still in it. They are. And you look, okay, so my camera guy is laughing at me, right? He's looking at me like I'm tripping or something. Listen, Washington just won. They just beat the Seahawks. They're 5-6 and control their own destiny because they have the
Seahawks.
Okay, that's fine. I get it. But they control their own destiny, and they have the 7th seed as of right now because of straight the schedule.
True.
And those division games will count and will matter down the stretch. Because who are you going to play? Washington down the stretch. Dallas, are you listening? You're going to play Philly down the stretch. You don't play well against New York half the time. As for the Saints need to win, and they need some help. They're in a tough division with Tampa running it up. Atlanta, they're kind of teetering on their. I think the Atlanta's 5-6 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina's done. I don't think they have any shot now, especially after that embarrassing loss last week. But they're also 5-7. There's a lot of teams in that mix. Minnesota, don't count them out. I'm telling you right now, if it wasn't for the loss of Dalvin Cook, because he's going to be out for at least a couple games, I think Minnesota could make a run here. I really do. But right now, if you look at the playoff seeding, Arizona's still at number 1. They're just coming off their bye week. And who's Arizona got this week? I believe they have the Chicago Bears, so that should be a dub for them. And then there's another team I want to talk about, which is going to really pain me to even bring up because of a certain person I know who's a 49ers fan, but the 49ers are playing well. I can't even lie. They are playing really good football right now at just the right time. Deebo Samuel is a beast. I don't know where the hell this has been, but hey, better late than never, right? He's playing absolutely. I mean, he might go to the Pro Bowl as a running back. The hell with the wide receiver stuff. And guess who they're playing this week? The Seahawks. Who are just in disarray right now. This team is just... Let me tell you something. This team, for the talent that they have, Russell Wilson, Tyler Lockett, Chris Carson, if he could stay healthy, man, I really think it's time for the Seahawks to start looking in a different direction when it comes to the running back position. How many more years are you going to deal with this with Chris Carson? Now, me being a fan of Chris Carson, who has had him on fantasy the last 2 years, let me tell you something. If it wasn't last year, if it wasn't for Alvin Kamara, I would not have won this league. I had Chris Carson, and he literally missed 4 or 5 games last year for me. Before he got injured and got put on IR, he was averaging 13 to 15 fantasy points a game. He can't stay healthy, man. I've maybe used Chris Carson in one of my leagues this year, maybe 3 or 4 games. He cannot stay healthy. I think it's time for the Seahawks to start looking in a different direction when it comes to him. The offensive line has regressed and gone back to their old ways. And then the defense. Now, I'll give it up to them this game on Monday night against Washington. The defense actually played well. But I don't want to see Jamal Adams celebrating when he hasn't done jack all season long. This man's about to get paid $17 million a year, starting next year. $1 million a game. And the numbers he puts up, this is his second interception in the last few weeks. All right, I get it. But it's like you're hot and you're cold. You're frustrated. You just throw your arms up and give up. But when you get an interception, you're celebrating, taking a picture, and posing. We're 3-8. What are you celebrating? What is it? What is there to celebrate right now? This is, in the last 10 years, this is the worst the Seahawks have looked. Fans are not used to it. Which, I mean, got a little spoiled. 2 Super Bowls, back-to-back years, win 1. Winning records, winning divisions every year, making the playoffs every year. Pete Carroll's been here for 10 years. He's only had 1 losing season, and he's only missed the playoffs once. Russell Wilson has made the playoffs every single year he's been in the league. Until this year. Unless by some miracle they make a run. I don't think you can. You have to run the table. That's sick. We got 17 games this season, right? We've already played 11. So that means you're going to win 6 in a row and get 9-8? I don't think so, man. There's no innovation in the offense either. Why did DK get no targets and no catches until basically the end of the game last week on Monday? And you wonder why he's being a diva right now. I don't blame him. I'd be pissed off too. Some people say we should blow the team up and just restart fresh. Get whatever you can from Russell. We missed out on that opportunity last year because we had a chance to, and we didn't do it. And I said it from the beginning. I was like, if this season turns to trash like it is right now, one of these 2 guys are going to go. It's either Pete or it's Russ. The question is, who is it? That's going to be a real storyline, I'm telling you. When this offseason comes, I cannot... There's so many storylines this offseason. Aaron Rodgers. What's going to happen to him? Oh, my God. Odell. He's going to be in the news. Russ will be all over that. It's either going to be Russ or who will be the next coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll's too old. He's the oldest coach in the league. That's true. But obviously it's working because we've had a winning pedigree for the last decade. So there's that. Playoffs are interesting in the NFC. It's really wide open after those top 4 seeds. The Rams are still holding on by a thread. They've lost 3 straight. We feeling like the Cowboys. Just saying. I'm just saying, man. we in the Cowboys.
That's what happens when you take the L.
I mean, if it wasn't for Arizona being in the NFC West, I mean, we have the same record as the Cowboys. We'd be in first place. Let's move on to the AFC. So, AFC right now, guess who your top seed is right now? Just take a wild guess. Make a comment. Post it. I'm going to tell you right now who it is. And it's the Baltimore Ravens. But by a half a game. Because the Patriots and the Tennessee Titans have not had their bye week yet. I think their bye week is week 13, week 14. So the Patriots have been playing very well. All this talk about, who needed who. Did Brady need Belichick or did Belichick need Brady and stuff? I mean, Brady's doing pretty well. He's won the Super Bowl. They are the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl, I think. I think the Packers have them beat by a hair. And the reason why I say that is the Packers have looked sharp, but what's missing with the Packers? They don't have another target. Aaron Jones needs to come back. He's hurt right now. So, Robert Tonyan's not playing. He's hurt. The offensive line is starting to get battered. Aaron Rodgers throwing his foot up on TV and throwing it at the press conference because he's got a toe injury. Okay, but the Patriots haven't. I mean, the Buccaneers haven't looked great either. They've been looking mediocre at best. That game against the Colts on Sunday, that is a lot closer than it should have been. Even with Leonard Fournette scoring 4 touchdowns. And like I said, here's another promise I made. Not even a promise. This was a prediction I made. I said the Colts were my sleeper team. The Colts have a solid defense. Let Carson Wentz get acclimated with the new players around him. Michael Pittman's has been great. I mean, and Jonathan Taylor, what can you say? I mean, he's a stud right now. He might be on my list for MVP candidate right now. I mean, you're gonna have to put Lamar Jackson in that mix because Lamar Jackson has been playing really good, but Jonathan Taylor has been playing out of his mind. I mean, who else? I mean, is there any other MVP candidates out there besides those two that you can think of? Josh Allen's been up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers has been okay. He's not putting up like massive numbers. Kyler Murray was in the beginning. He slowed down and then he got hurt. I just there's nobody that pops in my head that I can think of that's been an MVP candidate as of right now.
Joe Burrow?
Joe Burrow is not an MVP candidate. That's the sound guy, Zach. That makes no sense. Let's cut that out right now. Oh my goodness. So, back to what I was saying. Cincinnati, though, okay. All kidding aside, Cincinnati is a playoff team right now. You got to give them credit where credit's due. Joe Mixon has been great. They've been solid. They've been a little bit inconsistent. They're 7-4. They're in the mix. Kansas City's on the come up. They're 7-4. They've been playing well. They got a huge matchup this Sunday night. Tennessee's 8-4. New England's 8-4. The Bills have slated a little bit. They're down to 7-4. They're rolling in that 5th or 6th spot right now. But Tennessee, I mean, KC, man, they got the Broncos this Sunday night on Sunday Night Football. The Broncos has been another team that defensively has played well. They're looking a little bit better. Their defense is good. They're not elite, but they're good. Given the fact that Kansas City has been playing mediocre offense, now if KC goes there and blows them out, then we're on another level. Okay, I don't think that's happening. I think it's too close to call. But Denver's holding on. They're 6-5. They're tied with the Raiders
And the Chargers.
and the Chargers, and the Chargers hold that 7th spot. So they're right there. Chargers hold a head-to-head on them, and then the Colts are 6-6. So the AFC is looking very interesting. Let's see how the Raiders. I mean, if you look at the schedule for this week, because it's getting down to that nitty-gritty stuff. We're getting down to like the last 5 or 6 games. You got Dallas and New Orleans this week. Let's go, Saints. Sorry, Carson.
Really?
Yeah, man, I'm going with the Saints.
Come on, man.
Let's see. Tampa and Atlanta, that's kind of a big game. Tampa has struggled against Atlanta in the past, even with Tom Brady on the team. Arizona, Chicago, Chargers and the Bengals. That's a big game for both teams. When you look at what's to come, because the Raiders are playing Washington. Both of those teams need to win. Okay, Kansas City's playing Denver on Sunday night. Monday night is a huge game as well because it's New England and Buffalo. That's a massive game.
They got New England.
And I'm telling you right now, I think New England is playing some fantastic football. That defense is good. And we know Bill Belichick is a defensive-minded coach. And all you need is not to make mistakes and have turnovers. And what did I say? I think it was like the first or second podcast. I was like, you need your quarterback not to make mistakes, not turn the ball over, and just play the game efficiently. Mac Jones has done that. To be honest with you, I think Mac Jones should be up there for Rookie of the Year. This team is 8-4. I'm pulling his numbers right now because the man has been playing amazing. Okay, let me turn that down a little bit. Not amazing, but they've already played 12 games. He's thrown for almost 3,000 yards. He's got 16 touchdowns and 8 picks. That's not bad. When you combo that with the running game that they have, now they've had to plug in different pieces here and there, but on top of the fact that your defense is playing stout. Now with Buffalo, their Achilles heel right now is they can't figure out their running game. It's all pass. Devin Singletary is against them, but you saw last week Matt Breida has been coming in and playing very well. I think he had 2 scores last week. He didn't have a ton of yards, but Matt Breida is a change of pace running back. He's your speed guy. He's a veteran. He's been around for a while. And I think he's a nice complement to what they have because you got to establish the running game. You can't just toss it. You can't even do any play action. So they're sitting back either playing. I mean, teams have been playing a little bit of zone on them, but you do man-to-man. And the only person that can really break away from man-to-man like that is Stephon Diggs. But he's getting double-teamed a lot. His numbers are down from last year. But what I'm saying is that is a huge matchup on Monday night between those two teams. Some other games that I think will be big. If I look down the schedule, I mean, yeah, those are really it. LA needs the Rams need to win, and they get the perfect matchup because they got Jacksonville coming in this week, so they can right the ship and get back on course. But you know, in Baltimore, Pittsburgh, that's a division rivalry. Those are always big. Obviously, KC and Denver will be a big game. I need Patrick Mahomes. I'm not biased towards anything, but I need Patrick Mahomes to throw 4 touchdowns and throw 400 yards. That's what I need from him. I need you to write the shit, man. I got you on fantasy for a reason. But those are the weekend matchups. A few of those games I'll be eyeballing. Now, House of Gucci. I'm not going to give any spoilers away or anything like that on this podcast this time. But the movie was great. I thought Lady Gaga did an excellent performance. And if you don't know the storyline of it, I won't give any spoilers away, but it's exactly how I remember the story playing out when this happened years ago when I was a kid. Now, this movie, there's a lot of content and stuff in it, but I think they could have shortened it down about a half an hour. This is kind of a long movie. And some of the parts in the movie started to drag a little bit, but overall, it was amazing. They did a great job. They kept me on the edge of my seat. And I forgot half the time, because Jared Leto's in this movie. I forgot half the time he was in it. The makeup job and just everything that they did for him, it was insane. But great movie. I give it, if I were to, 1 out of 5 stars. I think I'm going to have to go with 4. Yeah, I'll give it 4 stars. So 4 stars on this one. So now we are in December. And I've been waiting for this for a long time. The movies that are coming out in December are like movies of epic proportions. Do you understand me? Like, I don't think people understand. There was a riot at a movie theater to purchase Spider-Man No Way Home tickets. Which I think, by the way, there's going to be a new trailer that's going to drop like any day. Probably the next week or so. Somebody told me today that there was a new Matrix trailer that dropped. I haven't seen it, but I'm going to check it out tonight. But Spider-Man, if you haven't got your tickets, you better get them right now. Because they're flying off the shelves. Or if you want to wait until it just, all the madness calms down. I mean, I did that. I've never done that. But I know some friends of mine who have done that, and they're like with Star Wars. Rise of Skywalker. I mean, there was a huge scramble to find tickets for that. I barely got tickets for opening night. Now, I'm not going to go to the Thursday night, Friday morning premiere. I have tickets for Saturday, and I'm probably going to buy tickets for Sunday as well, because I'm probably going to want to see it again. But Spider-Man is the next movie that's supposed to be coming, the next big film that's supposed to be coming out. Matrix comes out on the 22nd of December. Spider-Man is dropping a week before that. And then you have The King's Man, which is also coming out the same day that The Matrix comes out. So, I mean, I don't know how... And this has happened before. I think that movie could get moved to a later date because they know the competition that they're going to be up against. Now, that being said, this movie, The Matrix Resurrection, is also going to be on HBO Max. So how many people are going to be really going to see this movie in theaters? Now, for me personally, you damn right I'm going to go see this in the theater. There's no other way to watch this movie. I might go see it twice. Well, and I say that now. I say I might go see it twice, but I might go see it once in the theater and then watch it a second time at home. That's how I think it'll actually play out. But Spider-Man, I don't have that option because it's only in theater, so I'm gonna have to go see it. But the movie I'm going to watch this week, that we will talk about on next week's podcast, will be West Side Story. I am going to see West Side Story this weekend. I'm super excited about it. I saw the trailer when I saw Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I was like, oh, this looks interesting. Interesting remake of one of my favorite plays and one of my favorite original movies. So I'm going to go see West Side Story. That comes out comes out on the 10th. So we'll have the review probably on the following podcast. But Spider-Man tickets are on sale. They called it Spider Monday, which was Cyber Monday. Spider-Man tickets are on sale. It comes out 16 days on December 17th. And then the big one, The Matrix. Now, breaking news. Oh my goodness. They have moved The Matrix to Christmas Eve. Wow. So Christmas Eve, they have all these movies coming out. I'm going to run them down. Matrix, The Kingsman, Sing 2, and American Underdog. If you don't know about American Underdog, that's going to be the story of Kurt Warner. That comes out Christmas Eve. So this month, I've been waiting for this for a long time. And we're finally get to see all these movies coming out. And then, obviously, January, we'll get into that. Starting the new year, you got Scream coming out. That's one movie I'm anticipating. And then Morbius comes out the end of January. I am super excited about that movie. But got a lot of good stuff coming up. Now, fantasy-wise, like I said, Taysom Hill, if you're looking for a quarterback, I'm going to give you some pointers on who I think you should be able to pick up if they're available on waiver. We're going to go through some of those. One person would be Taysom Hill. I kind of alluded to him earlier in the show. If you're looking for a QB, he would be one. Derek Carr will also be another one if he's available. Derek Carr is about 60% available in leagues. So Derek Carr, Taysom Hill. As far as running backs go, if you have Madison available from the Minnesota Vikings in any leagues, pick him up ASAP. He is Dalvin Cook's replacement because Dalvin Cook will be out for a couple of weeks. Matt Breida is also a good one you should pick up. Also, Boston Scott, because Miles Sanders is hurt again. So the running back situation in Philly is really weird. I don't even know how to describe it. Miles Sanders is obviously your number one, but it seems like they just do running back by committee. So that would be one. That would be it's a weird situation in Philly because Jalen Hurts hasn't looked himself, and they rely too much on the running game of either their quarterback or their backfield to get going. So those would be some guys I would pick up. Wide receivers, there's not really a lot out there as far as receivers go. Elijah Mitchell is the one that, not Elijah Mitchell, Elijah Wood for New York Jets. He's the one I would get. Elijah Mitchell is the running back for 49ers. If you don't have him and he's available, pick him up. And then Jack Doyle, tight end for the Indianapolis Colts. He is also a good pickup along with T.Y. Hilton. T.Y. Hilton has been getting a lot of targets as of late because they've been doubling up on Michael Pittman Jr. So there's my little tidbits of information for fantasy. Now next week we're gonna get into a little bit more NFL, obviously we get into some NFL stuff because the season's winding down. We're gonna check on this topic on MLB and see what is happening with the lockout situation. We got a pay-per-view, UFC 269, Olivier versus Poirier. That's coming up in 2 weeks. So I'm definitely going to be doing a live feed on that on Instagram. I'll be doing some reels and stuff like that. We got some college basketball stuff. Obviously, Duke losing last night. Huskies getting a new coach. Yeah, not the big splash that I was looking for, but This might help you with recruiting because we're getting some players back like Jake Hayner, which is huge for the Huskies after this just pathetic of a football season that we just had. And to cap it off with us losing to the Cougs on Apple Cup Friday, I almost puked in my mouth when that happened. But it was bad. NBA stuff, we're going to get into some NBA stuff. My Lakers, we're going to talk about all stuff NBA because we're getting to that season where the season starts getting ramped up a little bit. You already know NBA, Christmas time, it's always... Yeah. NBA always ramps up around Christmas time with their Christmas slate is stacked. You have 5-6 legit ball games that happen. Now they always turn out that way, not usually, but the Lakers will be on the on the docket for sure. And you'll also have the Warriors. You're gonna have the Nets, all the good teams. But it's starting to ramp up a little bit. I mean, what can you say? Phoenix and Golden State are the cream of the crop of the NBA right now. I mean, that matchup last night between Phoenix and Golden State, and I thought Golden State was going to pull it out, and I was definitely wrong. Phoenix has won 17 games in a row. And I'm looking at my Lakers like, what the hell? We have an all-star team, and we're 12-11.
And LeBron has COVID.
And LeBron is out. So it's almost like I don't even know what to say right now. Like, this is too much negativity happening between the Huskies, the Seahawks, and these mediocre Lakers. It's a lot for me to take. Okay? But we'll get into some NBA stuff next week. I am planning on being in Vegas for the start of the NCAA tournament. So we'll get into some more details on that in future shows and stuff like that. But I will be in Vegas for the start of the NCAA tournament. So it would be cool to be there and to get the atmosphere and the sportsbook side of things as you're watching the NCAA tournament. But GoFundMe, my original sound guy is Lance. He's out. Had some medical issues. I hope you get well soon, my friend. But we'll hold down the fort while you are away. Got a GoFundMe app, right? Mm-hmm. GoFundMe for Lance.
It'll be in the description.
And it'll be in the description as well. Like I said, next week got a bunch of stuff to get into. What's going to happen with the MLB lockout? Are we going to lose some games this season? Are we not going to have baseball? What's going to happen after tomorrow night? Tomorrow night's the beginning of Week 13. Are the Cowboys going to pull it out?
Of course
Or
not.
are the Saints going to win? Who dat? Give me your thoughts. Write, comment, like, subscribe, share the page. Give me your thoughts. Cowboys or Saints? Who you got? I got the Saints tomorrow night. Who you got? Who is gonna in this crazy wild cards of these last 4 or 5 weeks? Who's gonna pull it out? Next week we're gonna talk about it. Who I think is gonna pull out these last few weeks of the wild card. Who's gonna make it in and who's out? Who are the pretenders and who are the contenders? Or is the Packers contenders? Is Arizona really a contender? Are the Tampa Bay Bucks? I think they're contenders. They're defending world champs. They have to be. What about the Ravens? Is this Lamar Jackson's time? What about the Patriots? Can they make a run without Tom Brady? Are the Buffalo Bills pretenders? These are all questions that I'm going to answer. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to break it down next week. An extensive look at upcoming playoff action. We're going to talk about the NBA. Any breaking news on the MLB, we'll get to it. And then we'll get into some UFC stuff next week. And also some WWE stuff. We got a lot going on. So, thanks for tuning in. Yo, like, subscribe, share the page. Please, we're on all platforms. Tell your friends, like, support us, give us your love, and we will love you back by talking some sports. Until next time, dudes.